On today's episode, we're talking to Imani. Imani is here to share her journey of discovering God later in her 20s and how that's impacted her romantic relationships as well as her friendships.
Am I the only one struggling with temptation?
This relationship is testimony.
Why is communicating with my wife so difficult?
So tough.
Yeah, I'm so done in relationships.
I guess I'm just a single family. Why can't God just send me a man already?
How do I know if God wants me to marry?
Why did I get married to have my family broken up?
I don't know if she even loves me.
Are you struggling to find answers on faith and relationships? Join me as I sit down with everyday women and men who are sharing their stories about navigating the complexities of God, sex, and relationships. I'm Ivy Julie Snowman, and this is Yoked by Love. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's weird because we're about to have a super grown woman conversation.
Let's do it.
And I knew you since you were a baby. I remember the first time I held you. You were so beautiful.
Thank you.
You
But I'm a
still
super
are.
grown woman now.
I know. Okay. So let's just jump right into it. The last time we talked, you took a break. You took a 3-year break from dating completely.
Yeah.
Just to focus on developing better friendships?
No, well, I was in a relationship my whole adulthood. You know, I met him when I was 20 years old, so we dated from 20 to 28. And when we broke up, I didn't know who I was as an adult. You know, I wanted to be single and be an adult and find myself. And so what happened was all of the energy that I put into that relationship, I had put into my friendships. And I relied a lot on my friendships. And when those people disappointed me, it was like God telling me, like, you need to rely on me and not people, because people are going to disappoint you. So that was the lesson that I've learned recently and what I'm working through right now.
How did you what was the recent situation that made you realize, like, okay, in that relationship, but also with your friendships, that you needed to rely less on people and more on God?
Yeah, well, I had a huge birthday for my 30th. I just turned 30, and I just went all out and, you know, of course, invited all my friends. And it was a certain a couple that I really went out of my way for, you know, the past few years, and I just really thought we were really close. And not only did they not come, but they like paid me dust and ignored me.
Oh, wow.
And that really hurt my feelings.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I just had to really sit in that. And anytime I go through like heartbreak or sadness, I really try to ask God, where's the lesson in this, you know?
See, you're the cool girl. You learned that later in life because you've been the cool girl your whole life. But like that was happening to me at like 5 years old, at like my 8th birthday party.
Yeah.
So, but and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I developed a close relationship with God, because I was just talking to God because nobody was really my friend. But anyway, okay.
But everybody
I
gets there at
digress.
different points, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go to this relationship. So this is a guy that you met in high school?
No, actually we met working. I met him working. I was 20 when I met him.
Okay, and then y'all were in a committed relationship? Was it
like off jump. Like we fell in love off jump, like super committed, like as soon as we met each other, you know.
Matching Halloween costumes?
All of that.
Stuff.
Totally obsessed with each other. And it's funny, we broke up and we were together 8 years, we broke up, and still I love him. You know, like I love him like my brother. I'm not in love with him.
Right.
I don't want to be with him, but I totally care for him, you know.
So what was the evolution? So we're talking about being yoked and equally yoked and unequally yoked. Where did y'all alignment kind of separate?
Yeah, well, you know, when you're 20, I'll speak for myself. Like at 20, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't care. He was a cute guy. We worked together, so I know how much he made. He knew how he was still living with his parents. I was still living with my parents. There was no real responsibility there. When you get older and you have real responsibilities and I'm learning who I am and the things I need, it was just like, okay, I'm growing out of this relationship. It's like what I'm needing as a woman, you can't offer me because you don't even know what you need as a man, you know?
Right. So you called it off?
Yeah, it was kind of mutual.
It was kind of mutual.
What
What are some of the things that he wanted or didn't want that you wanted or didn't want, like as you evolved apart?
I really want a leader. Like, I really want, because in my career, I'm the leader, I'm the boss, you know, and I know a lot of women can relate to that. Like, I'm super busy. And so when I'm with my man, I don't want to think. I want to just lay out like a flower and I want him to lead the way. You know? Yeah, I don't want to think.
And he was trying to be led, too?
He was trying to be led?
Like, led.
Led? I don't know. You know, men are a little slower than us. You know? So it's like, I don't know if he was trying to be led or not trying to be led. He was just, men just be going with the flow.
I mean, he didn't have initiative, is that what you're saying?
No. Yeah,
okay.
No. Yeah.
So, because I know, like, in the last few years, you bought a house, like, you've done your careers really jumped off.
Yeah.
And, like, talk a little bit about that. Like,
yeah.
What has come out of the separation?
See, so when me and him broke up, my life kind of skyrocketed. Like, literally, like you said, my career popped off. I bought a house. My music finally got placed on television. You know, something that I've been working on for so long. And a lot of people are like, oh, like, since you left him, you up, like, you lit. And what I will say is all of those seeds I planted while I was still in that relationship. You know, I started podcasting while I was still in that relationship, even though it didn't take off until after we broke up. A lot of those songs that got placed on TV, I recorded those in the bed that we were sleeping in. You know, so it's like I can't say that because I left him, my life took off, because that's just not the truth. It was just really a timing thing.
Okay,
yeah,
that's good. That's good.
And he paid all the bills when we were together, which let me have great credit, and I saved up money, which helped me buy my house. You know, so it's like I can't, like, you know, I'm trying not to curse on the Christian podcast, but I can't talk bad about him because he helped me a lot.
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
I'm not going to curse. I'm going to try my best.
You know, don't have me out here looking
I'm going to try my best.
So, I'm trying to keep my composure because this is my cousin and I want to go in right now. But, okay. We're going to pause. We're going to put a pin in that because I'm going to circle all this back.
Pin in it.
Imani, super talented. You were on the Apollo stage. Amateur night, you won like a bazillion times. You were entertainer. You opened up for Chris Brown and other artists. I might be exaggerating, but you did.
Yeah, no, that's the truth.
You were dancing and singing all your childhood, and then simultaneously you were in church every Sunday, like praise dancing, worshiping, and now we fast forward to your 20s, and out of boredom of COVID, as you admitted, you decided to just start talking online. And it evolved into a podcast that was risque. It's called Lick the Rapper. Tell us a little bit about Lick the Rapper.
Sure. Lick the Rapper is a sex-positive podcast. We drop episodes every Monday. I try to destigmatize sex for, like, girls my age, because I grew up with my brothers and my dad. My mom was the hustler. She was getting money. But, like, in the house, I was with the boys. I was the only girl. And so I saw very up close the difference, how sex was treated with my brothers and how sex was treated with me. You know, with them it was thumbs up, give you condoms. You know, they can say what they want, they can feel how they want. But with me, it was very much shamed. It was very much, you know, you can't do this, or, you know, you're going to get and that doesn't work for a girl like me, at least, you know, like that. It just never made sense to me.
Right.
And so I was thinking, like, okay, if I was that 17-year-old girl confused about sexuality, what's something I would want to listen to? And that's what I created.
Okay. Where did your faith play in your journey to get to the podcast? Because your podcast is one, and I'm going to speak for a group of people in the family, let's just say, who believe that, like, you've totally turned left. So we're talking about people who know you on a personal side, who don't know you publicly, but we don't, because we don't follow you publicly, but we follow you more, you know, like, what's going on with Imani? You know, we've seen you, we watched you grow up. What was the transition that we didn't see that got you from praise dancing to talking about, like, eating booty? Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I don't think the family does know me on a personal level, and that's the truth. I also think, I was just telling you, I found God 2 years ago for myself. But just because you in church, praise dancing, I saw one of your questions that was interesting to me. You called me a worship leader. I never considered myself that, but that is what it was. I'm on a step team, I'm praise dancing, I'm singing in the choir, because that's what we did, and that's what my family did, and I loved to perform, and it was fun. I didn't know God for myself.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of time we raise kids in the church, and then we put these ideals on them when it's like they might not, you know? And so I'm just like literally, Hypocrite the musical changed my spirituality, it changed my life, and I found God 2 years ago, and I feel like I'm a baby Christian figuring it all out for myself now.
In that figuring it out, so you know what worship looked like as a child, right? And you saw people interact with God in that space, and then you've been in the entertainment world. You've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of the entertainment world. And now you have this podcast with 10,000 plus listeners every week that are tuning in. That's not Christian, but now you've starting to develop this personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
How does all this converge? Like where are you sitting in things that are so diametrically different?
Yeah. It's so much duality there, right?
Yeah.
So on my podcast, even though it's a sex podcast, if you listen to the episodes from 3 years ago, it'd be like, whoa, you know?
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it would be like, wow, this is like a lot, right? Recently, if you listen to an episode, I talk about God so much, you know? Like now, a lot of my listeners are like, wow, like, I didn't know that you had all this God in you, because I've changed so much since then. And a lot of the sex stories I tell are old stories, because my mindset has changed so much about casual sex, about sex before marriage even, or about, like I used to just think being sexually free was like everything. Yeah. And now I'm like, we should probably sit down.
Well, I mean, to that point, and growing up in our family, I mean, we as girls are taught to be sexually repressed. And I think that's just historical for Black women in particular. Right. But close your legs, don't let nobody see your private parts. And I shared in another episode, when I told my parents I lost my virginity, it was like the worst thing that ever could have happened to me. Not the fact that I lied about some real stuff, some other stuff, but like that was like, no, that's like, it impacted relationships. And so what we do in order to like deal with that shame, whatever that is like, well, I just got to break out.
Yeah.
And so I broke out, and my 20s was wild. I didn't do a podcast, but I was casting pods.
Tell us something.
I allowed myself to sexually, to try to figure out who I was sexually. Yeah. And I used men to do it. Yeah. And I'm not quite sure I figured it out. I think I did more damage to myself that it took me years to heal from. And it also, me being 42 now, it impacted how I want to be intimate. Okay. And it's challenging when you go all the way out there and you have to reel yourself back in because you have memories and you have flashbacks, Yeah. So, and you decide to be in a committed relationship with somebody who is who they are. They're not 50 people in one person. Yeah. They're that one person. Right. Right. Or they're not those 300 experiences combined that you can pick and choose your own adventure. Yeah. It's like, nope, this is the adventure. You own it. It ain't no choosing. You chosen. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. So there's some things I wish I may have dialed back. But to your point, like, now that you've had that freedom, now that you've been able to verbalize it through your podcast, maybe experience it personally, and how you've lived out your life sexually, are you coming back in the middle somewhere?
I don't want to commit to anything. That's let me say that. I don't want to commit. Yeah, it's all right. Because one day I might feel a way, and then tomorrow I might feel a whole different way.
I'm just trying to get the snapshot for today.
For today,
today's snapshot.
Yeah, for today, I do find myself in the middle. What I will say is, as a child, like when I was the performer and I was doing all that stuff, my parents raised me to be publicly perfect. I say publicly perfect because nobody's really perfect, right?
They raised you real perfect.
But we were publicly perfect, And even though I thought I was doing everything right, this is at 10 and 11. I'm thinking, I'm doing everything right. I'm saying the right stuff. I'm a good girl. my family still judged me and was mean to me. And still, said mean, like sex, like about, like I remember I was 12 years old and I have an aunt that would say, that's the one you gotta watch. And I'm doing everything. I'm trying to be a good girl. So for me, it was like, well, if y'all gonna think this anyway, what am I trying to be perfect for?
Part of the issues with the church is while they're pushing sex, trying to push you and keep you away from sex or sexual identity, they're actually imposing it on you. They're sexualizing children.
I didn't think about it before they told me.
Right. You weren't thinking about that. Right. You were just dancing, doing your little cheers. And, And so it happens. And it happens the moment you bring a boy over for Thanksgiving and you're 13 and he's your friend from middle school. It's like, oh, she's fast. Y'all let her, so it's that.
Yeah. I had I'm sorry to cut you off. I had a little white boyfriend and I liked him. I was like 14, 15. Brought him to church, where I'm supposed to be at. And our family had such an issue with it. And they don't know what that does to a young girl trying to figure out their life. Like, dang, so now I got a lot of y'all. Now I can't, it was just a lot.
And it's not just our family.
I know it.
It's not just our family.
That's the only family I can speak for.
But it's something. And I think we go through this thing in our 20s where we're trying to reconcile that and figure out who we are without those voices.
Right.
And we have to almost go through that, right?
Yeah.
In hopes that in our 30s we land somewhere.
Yeah.
And then we can plant ourselves there, and then maybe in our 40s we kind of grow in that space. But I want to pivot. Mm-hmm. So, admittedly, this is a conversation where we're just going to hop, and I'm saying that for all my viewers because there's just a lot of juicy nuggets to chew on. Juicy fruit. Hey. So, true confession, I called you after my pregnancy when my son was probably a year. Mm-hmm. I was contemplating getting a BBL. Mm-hmm. I was so in my postpartum stage. Mm-hmm. I was really struggling with who I was and who I wanted to be and show up, and I felt I didn't own my body. Mm-hmm. So I called you and I said, Imani, you had a BBL. Mm-hmm. Talk to me. And you walked me through the process, and you told me the good, the bad, the ugly, and eventually I decided not to do it. Mm-hmm. I decided not to do it, I think, because I woke up out of postpartum and I realized for me that I was dealing with compounded body dysmorphia. Mm-hmm. And when I came out of postpartum, I could start to hear God speak to me more, which is something I couldn't hear when I was just in postpartum. But what he said to me is, you are beautiful. Yeah. And there is nothing imperfect about you. There is nothing that needs to be perfected physically on you. I need you to concentrate on your heart and your mind. Mm-hmm. When I tell you that story, where does BBLs, body augmentation fit in your narrative spiritually? And just what do you see? Because you have so many listeners that this is what they do. This is the rave.
For sure.
Talk to me about that.
For sure. Yeah. So I got it 4 years ago. I got surgery in 2020. And remember, I didn't find God until 2 years ago. So spirituality and surgery wasn't even a thing. Didn't think about it. Yeah, it was the girls that I liked, the girls that I thought looked good, they had it, right. And I think you called it compounded body dysmorphia.
Well, because I had body dysmorphia before I had the baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had body dysmorphia since 5th grade. Actually, since I was 6, when a boy started talking about a girl's booty at 6, and I was trying, what is about her booty? Why would you like her booty? I just didn't understand. And obviously, he was 6, so he had heard it from somebody. Right. But I just started thinking, I don't have a booty.
That's
and then on and on. And of course, we're in a family that always got to be talking about your body every second. Oh, girl, look at them legs. Look at them thighs. Your boobs big. You're this, that.
You just answered the question for me, Ivy.
So that's why I say compounded. So I was already dealing with it.
Yeah.
But then you got this baby sucking on your breast, and you got a swollen vagina, and you ain't put on a bra in 5 years, it feels like.
Yeah.
But it's 5 months. You just like, oh my God, I gotta get something for me to feel better. And the first thing that you think of is like your outside appearance. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I had body dysmorphia as well, and I think I don't want to speak out of turn, but I would argue 90% of women who get BBLs do deal with body dysmorphia. The scary part is that after you get your body done and you have the ideal body, that doesn't go away. Right. So some days I work out, I juice, I know my body looks good. Some days I will wake up crying because I think that I'm ugly still. Right. That doesn't go away. Right. So like you said, what you change on the outside is not gonna fix what's on the inside. Yeah. So
do you have another way of taking care of yourself now, or do you think you would continue, like, as it relates to how you see yourself as a spiritual being, or do you think like cosmetic surgery and body augmentation is like separate from a spiritual process? Do you see them congruent in any way or interfering with each other?
You know, I was raised by a mom who's very pro-surgery. And so for me, it's hard to separate it just because in our household, it's just normal conversation. Yeah.
Would you do more body work?
I don't think so, but not for spiritual reasons, just because I don't want my body to look bad.
Do you feel that, like, okay, side note.
It's vanity. Okay. Fix me, Jesus. It's vanity. I'm scared to have a baby because I don't want to mess my body up. Yeah, wow. It's vain.
Wow.
Wow. Real bad.
I mean, think 25 years from now, though. 30, you think you're going to regret
getting it done?
Well, I wasn't going to ask that, but like choosing not to have children because you don't want to.
I'm not saying I'm choosing not to. Okay. I would like to fall in love, get married, have a child. I'm saying that's something I'd consider.
Right. You always know that you can snatch yourself back.
Or get back on that surgery table.
That's what I'm saying. Get snatched back.
If it's that bad. Right.
Okay. Right. Okay. Because in my pre-interview for this, you share so much. And I think you mentioned something that is so real, and a lot of people are not going to talk about it. That's why I want you on this show. You developed some behaviors in your 8-year relationship that you just realized you needed to break.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to let you spill that tea.
Oh, yeah. So I said it was so ironic that when I got into a serious relationship with somebody, we were both committed to each other and obviously having sex, I developed a porn addiction. And it's so, I didn't even know I had a porn addiction until we were talking. And I'm like, oh, wow, I had a porn addiction. Like, he would be at work and I would be like, oh my God, he's coming home. Let me watch porn and get off real quick before he gets here. Isn't that crazy?
And that's because
I can't put my finger on. But that is what I need to
unpack that.
Yeah.
Was it because he wanted sex when he came home and you wanted to make sure you were pleased before he got home?
No. He was very cool sexually, very understanding.
But what was the need to do it before he got home is what I'm trying to understand.
You know what it was? Remember I was saying until after my relationship is when I found my career and I really, was finding who I was after we broke up. I think with him, I was so unfulfilled in my life, not just in the relationship, just in life, that quick nut, that quick satisfaction, it just felt good. It just made my day to get it,
Right, okay.
And something about the thrill about him coming home and me doing it, I think it excited me more,
It's like, let me do it before he gets home because this is my time.
Yeah. It's like, do it at 10 a.m. Why you gotta wait till 3?
What did so with pornography there was the masturbation. We're not gonna talk about masturbation because your body is your body. You touch your hair, you touch your vagina, who cares? But the porn.
Yeah.
What did the pornography do to you mentally? What did it do to you spiritually?
So remember how you were saying when you explored your sexuality in your 20s, it could affect a monogamous relationship when you're trying to get older. I did feel like porn brainwashed me in a way, like the things I was fantasizing about or the things I was wanting. It's like, this is a bit much. And like I was telling you, I was really into gangbang porn. Like that was like my thing, right? Okay. Still, God not done with me yet. That was my thing, right? But then after you would get it off, I would have to X out of it so fast because I felt so disgusting watching that or being into it, and then having empathy for the girl, wanting to find her, like, are you okay? Like, that's too much. Like in real life, I don't need to be doing gangbangs.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I don't need to be fantasizing about it and watching porn about it either.
And then when you get with your partner, he's just one person. Like I said, he's not 50 people. He can't do that.
Yeah.
And then you're dissatisfied and you thinking
something wrong with him.
And then
it never ends. once you do the gangbang, now you got to do the Muslim gangbang. Now you got to do the Chinese gangbang. It never ends. You really got to be careful with porn. It's really bad.
I'm convinced this is going to be the most exciting interview I have on this show. Let's get back to
let's pull back
to being yoked by love. Let's talk about we're gonna swiftly transition for the people that can't handle this.
No, I'm sorry, y'all.
No,
okay.
it's all good. Listen, if people don't know, they need to, because where they been.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're with God. I really want to talk about some spiritual stuff.
Let's do it.
Prioritizing relationships. Your friends didn't come through. Your one and only real love relationship, which you're going to have more, baby, is, that ended, and that's fine. You guys are friends, but what do you want from a relationship now that you in a relationship with God?
Oh, okay. What do I want from a romantic relationship? Now that I have God? Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
And I'm going to ask you that same question about friends.
Yeah.
But let's start with romantic relationships.
Yeah, wow, that's such a good question. That is such a good question.
Have you thought about it?
I haven't thought about it until just now, but off the top, I really need a man who's with God. I really need a man that we can pray together. That's big, like, a lot of people are into like pray when you wake up. That's cool, but I'm like pray before you go to sleep. Something about that right before you sleep, getting a good like that is so important.
The rest, the peace. We pray as a family in bed together with the baby. Everybody.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Like I really want a man who knows God, who can pray and who can speak life into me. I'm down sometimes, like I need somebody who can pour into me. My brother is he's studying theology right now, and he's doing his Christian thing. He plays professional baseball, and I'll call him like, can you pray over me? And he will. And it feels so good sometimes for a Christian man to pray over you, so that's what I want for myself.
That's blessed. And it's real. Like you want that spiritual leadership. And it's what you have is so blessed that a lot of women don't have. You have two brothers who are God-fearing men and a father as well, and you were surrounded in that. So, your chances for success in getting what you want, you have an example of that. Yeah. So you have a metrics. Well, I shouldn't say success because it might be harder for you just because you do. Because
I do have that.
Right. Yeah. But I'm saying, but you have that awareness of what you want and how it makes you feel. Yeah. Through your brother, your little brother too. That's what's special about it.
It really is sweet. It really is sweet. And knowing where he's come from. You should have him on the podcast one day.
Oh yeah.
He would be a great guest.
Oh yeah. He's gonna come
through. He's been through a lot.
Yeah. So. Let's talk about now, what do you require in your friendships? Because one of the things that you said is that your friends aren't where you are anymore. You're not where your friends are. You have moved on, and you're just now recognizing. Like you're in you're in like a few weeks of recognizing.
That's what I'm saying. It's so close right now.
What you gonna do about that?
Pray. Seriously, it's so close. All of this just unfolded in the last couple weeks. Right. I'm still sensitive about it, and I want to figure out what that looks like because they make me happy,
What are some of the things that you think are going to have to stop with them in order for you to feel?
If every time we're around each other, we have to smoke and drink, something's wrong. And that's where I am now. Like, I didn't feel that way 6 months ago.
I had that same revelation probably younger than you in my early 20s, because it's like if I have to be out of my mind to enjoy you, and when I say out of my mind, meaning alcohol is affecting my mind, the weed is affecting my mind.
Right.
Then who are you when we not high?
Right. And who am I when we not high? Do we like each other sober?
Right. Like, do we like you? Can I just hang out with you? And that knocked off a handful of people.
It does. It really does.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm learning. I guess like now moving forward, the lessons is like if you meet people, you hang out, sometimes don't drink. Sometimes don't hit the blunt. Sometimes chill and just listen and see what's really going on. Because when everybody's doing that, everybody's on the same page, and y'all not really having no progressive conversations about God, about career, about anything.
About saving, investing.
Anything. Anything productive.
Yeah, it's just talking about pop culture, just talking about the latest.
Gossiping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stupid.
Or not talking at all because y'all just so high.
We lit. Yeah. And like, we too old for that now, you know?
Oh, I love to see this arc with you, and I think it's going to be a full circle eventually. One of the themes that you've spoken a lot about is family and the hurt. I won't use trauma because I don't think we went through anything traumatic.
Yeah.
But the hurt that was instilled by people who didn't know how to communicate what they probably were feeling. Mm-hmm. They don't have the words or the empathy to be able to articulate it. And I know that that's pulled you back from the family. Mm-hmm. We don't see you at funerals, and we don't see you at family reunions. And you're such a light.
Thank you.
And we need you back.
Thank you.
And I want you to think, now that you're with God, and to consider praying about this, it's grace that you extend to people who cannot say, I care, who verbally say, I care by saying things that hurt you, to have some grace for them, because you're above that. You're wiser. You have the communication skills. But we can't be the little girls anymore that run away from it. We have to step up to it and say, you're not going to talk to me like that, but I do know that you care for me, and I appreciate you saying what you said, even though you didn't say it right. I know that it's because you want the best for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we start to heal and reconcile generationally. I think it's how we reconcile as a Black community. I think it's how we reconcile as women. And that is how we demonstrate our maturity. Not that we need to be proving maturity, but that's how maturity is demonstrated. So I want you to know that I've come before you with that same hurt and that same insults and shame. We know other relatives that are going through it for whatever reason. They had a child out of wedlock, or they got divorced, or they're doing this and that. People not approving. They're not approving because, A, they did wrong stuff.
They was dead wrong.
Dead wrong. And they don't want to see us go through it, but they don't have the vocabulary
to say that.
Or they don't have the emotional intelligence to say that. So come back.
And I know that's God. I know this is a God moment right now. Before you walked in here, me and Miss Dorothy were having a conversation, and she said the exact thing to me. We were just chatting. She was complimenting the family, and I'm like, they all right, you know? And Miss Dorothy literally, she was like, you have to forgive. Yeah. You have to give grace, because you're the one with the emotional intelligence, not them.
You are.
She literally just said that, and you said the exact same thing.
I was not hearing that.
So and you were not here to hear her say that. So I know that this is a God moment. And I appreciate you saying that. And it's like, you know, even if it's not the older people, I need to do it for my younger cousins.
They need to see it.
I need to be there for them.
They need to see it. And we're family. And we got kids coming up behind us that don't need to see just the bad behavior while all the ones who figured it out have gone and left.
Yeah.
We got to show them that no matter what, this is how we stick together.
Yeah.
This is how we stay together. And this is how we grow out of these generational cycles and curses.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to say a sentence first. You started to develop a personal relationship with God 2 years ago at the age of 28. What do you know about God now that you didn't know for 28 years?
That he cares about our feelings, that he wants us to have joy and peace. Like, before I would be like, I thought God didn't care if we were happy. You know, because in the church it's all like, don't have sex, don't curse, don't do that, don't, you know? And I'm like, oh my, you know, it doesn't sound good. It's like, why would I love somebody who doesn't want me to do anything, you know?
Right.
So I thought God didn't care about our happiness. Now that I know God, no, God cares so much about our happiness that he had to give us boundaries. And when I, you know, thought about my relationship with my parents give me boundaries. I'm 30 years old, I still have boundaries, you know? And so it was like a light bulb went off. Like, no, he loves me so much that he's telling me these things aren't good for you because I know how bad it's gonna hurt you. And he was right, you know? Yeah, he was right. And now being single, buying a house, you know, killing it, traveling. I know God for myself. I know that he got me. Not a boyfriend, not a friend, not a parent, not a cousin, not an aunt. God got me no matter what. And I know that for sure.
Thank you for tuning in to Yoked by Love. And if you enjoyed today's episode, join me online to continue the conversation on Facebook or Instagram. You can find me at Ivy Jalise or at yokedbylove.com. Remember to subscribe, follow, and share. Until next time, stay blessed.